Servo altimeter. Each pilot has one servo altimeter positioned to the right of their respective primary flight displays, PFD. Power is controlled through the avionics master switches, switch 1 for altimeter number 1 and switch 2 for altimeter number 2. The servo altimeters are controlled electronically from their respective Air Data Computer, ADC. The servo altimeters are the counterpointer type. The pointer makes reference to a 1,000 feet scale around the outside of the dial, which is divided into 100 feet units and furthermore into 20 feet units. The counter has a range of between minus 1,000 feet to plus 50,000 feet and reads to the nearest 20 feet. The front of the display contains two baro scales, one in millibars and one in inches of mercury. Both baro scales are set to the correct barometric reference using the baro setting knob at the bottom left-hand corner of the instrument. When the altitude is below 10,000 feet, a green flag covers the tens of thousands digits in the counter. In case of negative altitude, a black flag reading NEG in white covers the counter. A system failure is indicated by a red off flag covering the counter readout. An amber ALT annunciator provides a visual warning of approach to or departure from a selected altitude. The altitude is selected on the Mode Control Panel, MCP. Whenever the ALT annunciator illuminates, a 2-second audio tone is heard. When changing level to a newly selected altitude, the annunciator illuminates at the 1,000 feet to go point to remind the pilot to monitor the level off maneuver. The annunciator extinguishes as the aircraft passes within 300 feet of the selected altitude. Once the selected altitude has been acquired, the annunciator will flash if aircraft deviates more than 300 feet vertically. This animation summarizes the logic of the altitude alerting function of the servo altimeter. A white reference bug at the edge of the scale is controlled by the knob in the bottom right-hand corner of the instrument. Normal operations. Ensure that the altimeter pointer and counter of the servo altimeter move according to a change in the baro setting. Abnormal operations. With any servo altimeter system failure, a red off flag is shown in the counter window. There are three possible causes: servo altimeter failure, loss of instrument power, loss of valid data from the air data system. In the case of an air data computer failure, the altimeter can use data from the remaining ADC. This is achieved by selecting the ADC transfer switch to either both 1 or both 2 as appropriate. Standby altimeter and airspeed indicator. The instrument is located to the right of the captain's navigation display and is totally mechanical in operation. The standby altimeter and airspeed indicator provides backup altitude and airspeed reference even at the emergency power level. It is a combined instrument displaying altitude and airspeed. Its power supply is only for illumination and an internal vibrator that improves accuracy by preventing sticking. The standby altimeter airspeed indicator is not supplied by an air data computer. Instead, it uses pitot-static supplies from sensors P3 and S3. The standby altimeter pointer makes reference to a 1,000 feet scale around the outside of the dial, which is divided into 100 feet units, and furthermore into 20 feet units. The 100 feet units are marked 0 to 9. The standby altimeter counter has a range of between -1,000 and +50,000 feet and reads to the nearest 1,000 feet. In flight, the standby altimeter indication will differ from the servo altimeter indication since the standby instrument is uncompensated by an air data computer. The front of the display contains two baro scales, one in millibars and one in inches of mercury. Both baro scales are set to the correct barometric reference using the baro setting knob at the bottom left-hand corner of the instrument. When the altitude displayed is below 10,000 feet, a black and white crosshatch flag covers the tens of thousands digit in the counter. In case of negative altitude, an orange flag reading NEG covers the counter. The standby airspeed indicator is a rotating drum type that contains a speed scale of between 60 and 450 knots. The current speed is read off the scale by a fixed pointer. Normal operations ensure that the standby altimeter pointer and counter move according to a change in the baro setting. Abnormal operations. There are no fail indications for the standby altitude airspeed indicator. Outside air temperature gauge. The outside air temperature gauge is positioned at the bottom of the first officer's instrument panel. The outside air temperature gauge is supplied with temperature information from its own dedicated probe, situated on the lower left-hand side of the nose. The scale of the gauge is -60 to +60 degrees centigrade. The gauge indication is not corrected in any manner. Indicated outside air temperature is shown. This can be corrected to static air temperature by reference to a graph in the aircraft flight manual. Normal operations. On ground, check that the outside air temperature gauge is reading ambient by comparing with the ATIS temperature. Abnormal operations. A system failure is indicated by the pointer permanently indicating -60 degrees centigrade. Standby attitude indicator. The standby attitude indicator is situated on the captain's instrument panel. The indicator uses a self-contained gyro that is powered from emergency DC. The standby attitude indicator provides pitch and roll reference, slip indication, and ILS deviation.